Given the diameter of a circle has the endpoints ordered pair xy equals 3, 5, and -1, -1, find the equation of the circle. Now I should have drawn a picture of this, because if you have a circle and then you take any point on that circle and draw a line straight across through the center to the other side, that line represents a diameter of the circle. So they've identified the points on the end, each end of that circle, and they want us to end up finding the equation of the entire circle. So we want to use the standard equation x minus h parentheses squared plus y minus k parentheses squared equals r squared. Now the h and the k, those are the xy coordinates for the center, hk. And then the r is the distance radius, the radius distance from the center to any point on the circle. So let's see if we have enough information to use that formula. First of all, the center hk we know is going to be located in the middle of the diameter, directly in the middle. We call that the midpoint of the diameter. Therefore, the midpoint, which I'll call m, is going to be equal to 1, 2, which is our hk. Now, why do I know that? That is because if I use the formula for the midpoint, x coordinate will be the difference between the sum of the x's, -1 plus 3 divided by 2, which simplifies to 2 over 2, or 1. So x is equal to 1, and then the midpoint coordinate y is the sum of the y coordinates for the 2 points, -1 plus 5 over 2, which simplifies to 2. And that is what tells me that the midpoint itself, xy, or hk, is equal to 1 for the x coordinate and 2 for the y coordinate. Now the radius, r, that's going to be equal to the distance from the center that we just found, hk equals 1, 2, and from that point to any point on the circle. I can choose a point that I already know lives on the circle. Let me choose 3, 5. I know that lives on the circle. Okay, so that means that the radius is going to be equal to, use the distance formula, the square root of the difference between the x coordinates. Now, what do you mean the x coordinates? We have 2 points. The points are 1, 2, that's the center, and then the point on the circle, 3, 5. The x coordinates in these two is the number 1 and the number 3. So take the difference between them, in parentheses, 3 minus 1, and square it. Add to that the difference between the y coordinates squared, 5 minus 2, parentheses squared, and then take the square root of that entire mess. Simplify inside the radical, you get the square root of 2 parentheses squared plus 3 parentheses squared, which simplifies to the r being equal to, the radius is the square root of 4 plus 9, which implies that r is equal to the square root of 13. So now we have everything we need. We know the center hk is the ordered pair 1, 2. So h is equal to 1, k is equal to 2, and we know the radius r is equal to the square root of 13. So now just plug it into the standard equation of a circle, which is the last thing we do. Thus, the equation is x minus the h value, which is a 1, positive 1, so it's x minus 1 parentheses squared, plus parenthesis y minus the k value 2 parentheses squared equals the square of r. You're going to square it. So you're going to take the square root of 13 and then raise it to the second power. What happens when you take a square root and raise it to a second power? The square and the square root cancel one another out. That's why we're left with just the number 13 on the right side of the equal sign. And we are finished. That is the equation of our circle.